Hi everyone, my name is Serena Midha and I'm presenting this work on behalf of Max Wilson and Sarah Sharples. We research the ethical concerns and perceptions of consumer neurotechnology from lived experiences of mental workload tracking. The motivation behind this is that because of developments in neuroscience and neurotechnology, consumer neurotechnology is starting to arrive. This has potential for large benefits, for example to our health and our well-being, but it also has potential for negative and unintended consequences. So the ethical considerations of consumer neurotechnology should be in the forefront of our minds. In the field of neuroethics, in relation to consumer neurotechnology, there are currently active and ongoing ethical and legal discussions happening, as well as the development of frameworks. These are based around privacy, data validity, and personal identity. But there's a lack of empirical research in this area, as it's mainly theoretical. So we aim to investigate the ethical perceptions and concerns of potential future neurotechnology users. The neurotechnology that we focused on was mental workload trackers. We had 19 participants in the study. All participants provided informed and written consent, and all participants were office workers as well. For the week before the study, participants in this interview study participated in a second study where they tracked their mental workload from Monday to Friday subjectively. That was because we wanted to include participants in this interview study that had had chance to consider their mental workload and what it meant to them before being interviewed in depth. Large parts of the interview focused on ethical perceptions, and we performed an IPA on the data, which is a qualitative method. 3 themes emerged from the data. Theme 1 was fear of the data. Sub-themes included fear of personal judgment from, for example, the workplace or family. Sub-theme 2 was fear of consequences, for example, negative consequences in the hiring process. And sub-theme 3 was fear of an inaccurate judgment relating to data misinterpretation and data validity. Theme 2 was the negative effect of the data on the self. Sorry, I am covering the self. There was 2 sub-themes: being controlled by the data, so becoming obsessed with the data, and data exacerbating negative states in people who have mental health problems. Theme 3 was the spectrum of sharing. Sub-theme 1, a few participants were not concerned about sharing their data. They had no privacy concerns. Sub-theme 2 was control sharing for positive change, and some participants would share their data in a controlled manner for personal or company improvements. Sub-theme 3, participants were generally more open to the idea of mandatory tracking in safety-critical jobs as opposed to other jobs. Sub-theme 4, some participants were not willing to share their data with anybody. Instead of reviewing existing frameworks, we conducted an empirical study. Our findings related to privacy, data validity, and personal identity, which have already been identified in previous literature. So our findings further validate previous findings. The findings relating to safety-critical jobs and data misinterpretation are novel findings and should be considered in the development of neurotechnology. Currently, consumer neurotechnology is unregulated, as it's still at a discussion stage. Thank you for listening, and questions are welcome.